My cousin stole my art and built an empire, so I secretly destroyed him from the inside. My cousin Alex and I grew up like siblings, two halves of a whole. Our mothers were sisters, and our houses were only a block apart, so most of our childhood was a blur of shared backyards and scraped knees. He was the sun, the charismatic center of every room he entered, and I was his moon, perfectly content to orbit him, reflecting his light. He was the one who taught me how to ride a bike, pushing me again and again until I finally found my balance. I was the one who did his art homework, my pencils and paints bringing his half-baked ideas to life with a skill he never possessed. It was our dynamic, and it worked. He was the showman, I was the quiet engine that made the show run. As we got older, this dynamic solidified. In high school, he was the class president, the quarterback, the guy everyone wanted to be or be with. I was the girl in the art room, headphones on, lost in a world of charcoal and ink. But we were still Alex and Chloe. He'd burst into the art room after practice, smelling of grass and sweat, and throw himself into the chair opposite me. He'd tell me about his day, the politics of the team, the drama with his latest girlfriend, and I would listen, sketching his animated expressions into my notebook. He always said I saw him more clearly than anyone else. I think he was right. I saw the flicker of insecurity behind the bravado, the fear of failure that drove his relentless ambition. I loved him for it, and I loved him for the way he always protected me. If anyone made fun of the quiet art girl, Alex would materialize like a protective older brother, his easy smile turning sharp at the edges until the person backed off. He made me feel safe. After high school, he went to business school on a scholarship, and I went to a local art college, my tuition paid for by a patchwork of grants and a part-time job at a coffee shop. We stayed close. He'd call me from his dorm, stressed about exams, and I'd talk him down just like always. It was during his final year that he came up with the idea for Aura, his lifestyle brand. It started small, with t-shirts and hats featuring simple, vaguely spiritual logos he designed himself. They were fine, but Alex could sell water to a drowning man. He had an innate understanding of marketing and social media, and he built a small but dedicated following online. He graduated and moved back home, pouring all his energy and savings into Aura. I was so proud of him. I just finished my own degree and was struggling, trying to freelance while slinging lattes. The art world is brutal, a landscape of unpaid internships and commissions that barely cover the cost of supplies. I felt like I was failing. One evening, Alex came over to my tiny apartment, his eyes shining with that familiar, infectious energy. He was holding one of his Aura hoodies. He told me he was getting incredible feedback, but people were saying his designs were a little generic. He wanted to elevate the brand to make it something truly special. Then he looked at me, his expression softening. He said, "Chloe, you're the most talented person I know. Your art has so much soul." I want that for Aura. He asked me to design a few pieces for him, just a small capsule collection. He couldn't pay me, not in cash, he explained. The business was still a baby, every penny was being reinvested. But he would give me something he claimed was more valuable, exposure. He'd put my name everywhere, tag me on Instagram, tell everyone I was the genius behind the new look. It would be a launchpad for my career, a portfolio piece that would get me noticed. I hesitated. The word exposure is a red flag for any artist. It's the carrot dangled to get you to work for free. But this was Alex. This was the boy who taught me to ride a bike, the man who always had my back. He wasn't some faceless corporation, he was family. Looking at his hopeful face, and then around at my cramped apartment with its stack of overdue bills, I felt a surge of loyalty and maybe a little desperation. I said yes, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. For the next 2 months, I poured my heart into those designs. I created a series of intricate, mandala-like illustrations, each one woven with subtle symbols of nature and connection. They were the best work I'd ever done. Alex was ecstatic. He called them revolutionary. He launched the Chloe collection with a massive social media push. Just as he promised, he tagged me. My follower count ticked up. A few people DM'd me to say they loved my work. The collection sold out in a week. Alex was overjoyed, and his success was intoxicating. But the exposure he promised didn't translate into paid work. The DMs were from fans, not clients. My bank account remained stubbornly empty. Still, I felt a sense of pride. I had helped him. That was what mattered, or so I told myself. It was a quiet lie, a seed of resentment planted in the soil of our shared history, and I had no idea then just how dark and twisted it was about to grow. My work transformed Aura. It was no longer a generic startup, it was a phenomenon. The Chloe collection became the brand's signature style. Alex quickly expanded, moving from hoodies and hats to phone cases, skate decks, and yoga mats, all plastered with my art. My name, however, slowly started to disappear. The Chloe collection was renamed the Genesis line. My Instagram tags became less frequent, then stopped altogether. When new customers asked who the artist was, the company's social media account would reply with a vague, corporate-sounding answer. Our designs are developed by the in-house creative team at Aura. I was the in-house creative team, an unpaid, uncredited team of one. I tried to talk to him about it. I cornered him at a family dinner, my heart pounding. I asked him why he'd stopped crediting me. He gave me a patient, slightly patronizing smile. "Chloe, we're growing up," he said, as if explaining something to a child. "It looks more professional if the art comes from the brand itself, not from a freelancer. It's about brand cohesion." He put his arm around me. "This is a good thing for both of us. When Aura gets bigger, you'll have a permanent, powerful place with me. I'm building this for us." The us felt like a manipulation, a way to silence me. But in front of our smiling parents and grandparents, what could I do? I let it go. Again, Aura became an empire. Alex was featured in business magazines, hailed as a young visionary. He moved the company into a sleek downtown office. He hired a staff. He was living the life we'd both dreamed of, a life built on the foundations I had laid for free. My life, by contrast, was stagnant. I was still in the same apartment, still struggling. The bitterness was a constant, metallic taste in my mouth. Every time I saw someone on the street wearing one of my designs, I felt a sickening mix of pride and rage. The breaking point came about a year after the launch. I had developed a new style, a single, stunningly complex design that I felt was my magnum opus. It was a phoenix, its wings made of 1,000 tiny, interlocking feathers, each one a different pattern. It was a symbol of my own desire for rebirth, for rising from the ashes of my stalled career. I was saving it for myself, for my own portfolio. One day, Alex called me, his voice buzzing with excitement. "Chloe, I need you. I'm in a creative jam. I need one more killer design for the new premium line, something iconic, a real showstopper." I told him I was busy, that I was working on my own projects. He brushed it off. "Come on, just this one time. For me, this is the big one. It'll put us on the map globally." That night, I couldn't sleep. I was torn. The part of me that still loved the boy from my childhood wanted to help him, but the woman he had taken advantage of was screaming. Against my better judgment, I invited him over. I showed him the phoenix. His jaw dropped. "Chloe, this is it," he whispered, his eyes wide. "This is the one." He started talking a mile a minute about putting it on everything, about how it would be the new logo, the symbol of Aura's rebirth. My blood ran cold. "Alex, no," I said, my voice shaking. "This one is mine. It's not for Aura." He stared at me, his expression shifting from awe to disbelief, then to annoyance. "Don't be so precious," he scoffed. "This is a huge opportunity for us." I stood my ground. "No, you can't have it," we argued. It was the first real fight of our lives. He accused me of being selfish, of being jealous of his success. He said I was forgetting everything he'd done for me. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. He left my apartment angry, slamming the door behind him. The next morning, I woke up with a terrifying thought. What if he just took it? I had shown him the high-resolution digital file. I had no proof it was mine. He could easily claim his in-house team developed it. The thought spurred me into action. I spent the entire day researching. I learned about intellectual property, about copyright and trademarks. I realized that my original designs, the ones Aura was built on, were likely already considered work for hire in a legal gray area because I'd given them to him without a contract. But the phoenix was still mine. I took every penny I had in my savings account, about $800, and I hired an online legal service. I filed for an official copyright of the Phoenix design under my own name. Then, I took it a step further. I created a shell company, a simple LLC with a generic name, and under that company's name, I filed to trademark the Phoenix design for use on apparel and other merchandise. It was a quiet declaration of war. He wouldn't see it coming, and I would wait. A few weeks later, Alex announced the Phoenix collection. It was going to be Aura's most ambitious launch yet, a massive new product line, a global marketing campaign. And at the center of it all was my Phoenix, my art, which he had stolen without a second thought. I saw the announcement on Instagram. He hadn't even bothered to alter the design. It was a perfect copy. He must have recreated it from the photo he took on his phone in my apartment. My heart hammered against my ribs, but it wasn't with anger anymore. It was with a cold, terrifying calm. The launch was a spectacle. Alex rented out a massive event space, invited influencers and press. He gave a speech about creativity and rebirth, about the symbol of the brand's soul. He never mentioned my name. The products hit the online store and select high-end retailers. The buzz was insane. For 1 week, I watched him celebrate. I watched him give interviews. I watched him bask in the glory of his success, built on my back. I let him have his moment in the sun. Then, on the Monday morning of the second week, I made a phone call. I called the lawyer who had handled my trademark filing. I told her it was time. She drafted the letter that same day, a formal cease and desist order, sent from her formidable-looking law firm to the brand-new headquarters of Aura. The letter stated that the Phoenix design was a registered trademark of her client, a private holding company, and that Aura's use of it constituted willful infringement. It demanded that they immediately halt all sales and marketing of the Phoenix collection. And it included a draft of a lawsuit for damages that ran into the 7 figures. I saw the fallout on social media before Alex even called me. A sudden, panicked halt to all promotions. The Phoenix collection vanished from the website. Influencers who had just posted about it deleted their stories. The internet started buzzing with rumors. Sabotage, a production flaw, a legal issue. When my phone finally rang and I saw Alex's name on the screen, I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail, he called a third time. I finally answered. His voice was a raw nerve. "Chloe, did you see what's happening? Someone is trying to destroy me." He sounded terrified, broken. The showman was gone, and all that was left was the scared little boy I remembered. Some vulture law firm sent us a letter. They're claiming they own the Phoenix. They're saying we stole it. Can you believe it? Someone is trying to take credit for our design. Our design. The word hung in the air between us. They want us to pull the entire line or pay them a licensing fee that would bankrupt the company, he choked out. Everything I've worked for, it's all going to be gone. He was crying. I had never heard him cry before, not even when his dog died. I stayed silent, letting him unravel. "I don't know what to do, Chloe," he pleaded. "I need your help. You're the only one I can trust." The silence stretched. I could hear his ragged breaths on the other end of the line. Finally, I spoke, my voice even and steady. "That sounds really difficult, Alex." I didn't offer help. I didn't offer sympathy. I just offered the blandest, most neutral statement I could think of. He waited for more, but I gave him nothing. "Chloe?" he asked, his voice small. "I have to go, Alex. I have a client meeting." It was a lie, of course. My only client was my own simmering need for justice. I hung up the phone. I knew the family would be calling next, mobilized by Alex to form a circle of protection around him. And they did. My mother called, begging me to help him, to be his character witness, to somehow prove the design was his. "He's your cousin, Chloe. He's family. We have to stand by him," I simply said. "Mom, this is a legal matter. It's out of my hands." I gave the same response to my aunt, to our grandmother, to everyone. I was a stone wall. They didn't understand my coldness. They saw it as a betrayal. In their eyes, I was abandoning Alex in his hour of need. They didn't know that he had abandoned me first. That was 3 months ago. Alex had no choice. He couldn't afford the lawsuit, and pulling the line would have been an admission of guilt and a public relations nightmare. His investors and partners forced his hand. He had to pay the exorbitant licensing fee to the anonymous holding company. My holding company. The first payment landed in my business account last week. It was more money than I had ever seen in my life. It felt like a breath of fresh air after years of drowning. I immediately paid off my student loans. I put a down payment on a small studio space in a building full of other artists. I bought myself a new laptop and the best digital art tablet on the market. I am finally free. Alex and I haven't spoken since that day. The rest of the family is giving me the cold shoulder. They whisper about how I've changed, how I've become hard and unfeeling. They don't know that I'm the one who holds all the cards. They don't know that their golden boy's empire is now funding my quiet, new life. He was forced to issue a public statement about a new, strategic partnership with an anonymous design house to explain the sudden legal paperwork. His brand's reputation for authenticity is in tatters. He survived, but he is diminished. And I did it all without ever raising my voice. I never had to confront him directly. I just used the system he understands so well, the system of ownership and leverage, against him. I sit here now, in my empty new studio, the smell of fresh paint in the air. I have everything I ever wanted. But I had to burn the bridge to the most important person in my past to get it. So, I have to ask, was I wrong for getting my justice this way, by becoming a ghost in his machine and taking back what was mine without ever showing my face?